This video is dedicated to Antonio Rouse. Antonio, thank you. Vito Thorn of the Dusk Rose versus the Mimeoplasm. And I'm definitely going to keep that one. We'll probably go in for Vampiric Tutor onto a Necropotence. Yeah, maybe Grim Tutor onto Necropotence, I don't know. Anyway, Mirri's Guile to start things off from the Mimeoplasm. Okay, Twilight Prophet is a nice card draw as well. I might actually go in for a Mana Crypt in that case, and then we can get down a turn 2 Twilight Prophet. Yeah, that's a good draw for us. Oh, and they've suspended a Lotus Bloom as well, so let's keep an eye on that over here. And then, like I said, at the end of the turn, we'll go for the Mana Crypt. And we obviously draw into that. Let's get down a Swamp, get down the Artifact, and we'll go straight for the Twilight Prophet. Might be that they have some kind of removal held up, but, well, they've got a tough decision to make. They either go after the Prophet or the Mana Crypt, but apparently not. I was half expecting an Assassin's Trophy there, but apparently they don't have it. They have gotten into all three of their colours though, not really casting many spells. They're going to get into a lot of mana next turn thanks to the Lotus Bloom, although they do have to sacrifice that, thankfully. Another land for us. Let's get down our commander, and then I think we are going to use the Grim Tutor to go in for Necropotence next turn. So we'll get down the Hex Mage as well. And how far are we off the, what is it called, the City's Blessing? 10 permanents you need. 3, 6, 7. Yeah, need a few more yet to switch that on. So the last suspend counter is removed from the Lotus Bloom, and that comes out for them. At least 6 mana available to them this turn. The first spell they go for is Druid of the Cowl, and leaving it there surprisingly, so bit of a slow start for our opponent. We win the flip on Mana Crypt again. Alright, and we can get down another permanent here, so let's go for the Grim Tutor first of all. Unfortunately can't get down Necropotence this turn, but we can refill our hand next turn, so get the Necropotence into hand. Let's play the Knight of Ebon Legion, and then we'll just swing in with the Twilight Prophet. No point swinging in with these two. The Hex Mage will get killed off, and this thing can just get chump blocked. So I'm just hoping our board stays intact here, which is asking a lot, because we just need to play a land, and then we get the City's Blessing. And then we can keep ourselves in even more cards, as well as draining our opponent. Still no cards being cast by our opponent, unfortunately. Okay, Charcoal Diamond. Let's go for Deserted Temple. Get down the Charcoal Diamond as well. And then, yeah, it's just a case of going for Necropotence. We'll swing in again and pass the turn again. Need to remember to activate Necropotence as well. We'll swing in with our commander and the Knight of Ebon Legion, because this will have to block one of them if it wants to stop the 1 point of damage. Okay, blocking that one. So a little bit of commander damage going on our opponent. I don't think that's going to be relevant, but you never know. We'll take 7 from the Necropotence. And then a plus counter goes on to the Knight. And hopefully our opponent actually does something here. It seems to be pretty one-sided so far. What have we gotten into? Another means of card draw in Blood Tracker. We've got the Sorin for lifelink as well to drain out our opponent faster. I'll have a look at our opponent's hand actually with the Inquisition of Kozilek. That might be something that causes them to scoop. Okay, tapping out now. Maybe it's Villainous Wealth. Oh no, it's an Eldrazi. Okay. Can we get rid of an Eldrazi? Not currently. There's no haste, thankfully. But we are going to draw with the Twilight Prophet, so we'll just have to see how much we can do in this turn. And we get into Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Now, Cabal Coffers gets us a little bit of mana, so let's go for Cabal Coffers. Tap that with the Mana Crypt. Game 4, untap it with the Deserted Temple. And then tap it down again, so we only end up gaining 1 mana there, but it's better than nothing. Let's go Inquisition on our opponent first. Oh wow, they've gotten pretty flooded there. They've got a Crater Hoof, a River Bear. Larger than life is Trample, so I mean I'm happy to see the back of that. Let's go in for Sorin. We'll put a plus counter on the Twilight Prophet because it has evasion. That is Lifelink and Death Touch as well. Let's go for the Dark Ritual as well. I just want to dump my entire hand out at this point. Bloodthirsty Aerialist will get a plus counter when we gain life from the Twilight Prophet. And then how much life are we going to gain this turn? That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. If we activate Vito, which will nearly take them down to 0. So yeah, I think we're going for a Vito activation here. Then we'll swing in with everything. And we are going to have a creature die here, of course. They block the Knight of Ebon Legion. And then it's a plus counter on the Bloodthirsty Aerialist. And first strike damage was dealt first from, easy to forget that first strike is on the Vampire Hexmage. So now damage is dealt from everyone else. We get 3 different triggers from both Bloodthirsty Aerialist and Vito. So there we go, taking them down to 3. So even with a swing in from Kozilek, I think we'll just get rid of some mana next turn. When they swing in, we'll have to sacrifice 4 permanents. We went up a lot of life there, so we can refill our hand with the Necropotence. And I'd be intrigued to see if they want to swing in at Sorin, actually. Because, actually, they have to swing in at Sorin, because we can just sacrifice a vampire to this, and it will drain our opponent for 3. Yeah, so our opponent's between a rock and a hard place here. Also, depending on the creatures, they might not cast any creatures this turn. If they swing in with both at Sorin, or even at us, we can block the Druid with the Bloodthirsty Aerialist and then get rid of the Eldrazi with this. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to be winning next turn. It all depends on what our opponent does here. Can they afford the Crater Hoof? They can afford Crater Hoof. That's only +2/+2. But they might be able to push damage through to Sorin. But then we're just flying at them for lethal anyway. Funny actually, if we keep all of our vampires, we can steal the Kozilek and make it a vampire Eldrazi. So all we have to do is keep a vampire in play and we win with Sorin next turn. So let's just sacrifice. We'll get rid of the Deserted Temple. And then we'll block the Crater Hoof with the Bloodthirsty Vampire. Bloodthirsty Aerialist, that is. Go down to 6 ourselves, so our opponent did nearly have us. And then they decide to scoop it because we just turn everything sideways at them next turn. What I would have done for the sheer fun of it is gone for Bloodghast and Captivating Vampire next turn, stolen their Kozilek to make it a Vampire Kozilek with the Captivating Vampire. But all we really needed to do was sack one to the Sorin Imperious Bloodlord. So, first time playing with this Planeswalker, and apparently it's a really good one. Hopefully you all enjoyed this first visit to Vito Vampires. I think, seeing as how it's a new deck, we'll get another game going. Vito Thorn of the Dusk Rose versus Roon of the Hidden Realms. And again, we are on the play. No, we're not. We're on the draw. They start things off with a Scryland in Temple of Mystery. And we get into Solemn Simulacrum. I don't mind that. So it's just Bloodchief Ascension into Jet Medallion next turn, I think. Might go for Bloodghast if I don't think they're going to get any blockers out. We can start getting counters on this as soon as possible. But really, I should be going for the Jet Medallion. Okay, they go for some ramp themselves. I think... Oh, wow, well, that makes up our mind for us, doesn't it? We can go for both Bloodghast and the Jet Medallion. An argument to be made for Solemn Simulacrum, but I don't think it makes too much of a difference either way. Then going in for Yisan, which is an incredible commander all on its own. Yeah, even to the point of my not understanding why it got unbanned, to be honest. Yisan is a very, very powerful commander. But in the 99 here, we get into another swamp, The Nykthos is looking really good here, actually. Let's go for Solemn Simulacrum. No, we'll go for Silvermote Ghoul. And then we can get our commander out as well, thanks to the Jet Medallion. That way we've just got a means of forcing more damage through. Also, this thing will probably be allowed through by Yisan. We're obviously hoping that they don't get another creature down next turn. Alright, just holding up the Yisan by the looks of it. They'll probably activate that in response to us swinging in. Let's go straight in for Nykthos. And we will go straight into combat. I dare say Bloodghast is going to die here. Potentially should have held on to the Nykthos, actually. I'm just hoping they don't go for Spore Frog or something obnoxious like that. Okay, just blocking the Bloodghast. So I don't feel a need to activate Vito here. I'm just looking to get damage on the... or counters on the Bloodchief Ascension. Okay, and then activating Yisan in response to the blocks. And getting themselves a Llanowar Elves, which they obviously don't want to block with, and they don't have the chance to now anyway. Bloodghast will come out again this turn because we have the Solemn Simulacrum, which fishes out a land for us. So we'll make 3 black mana with the Nykthos. Go in for the Solemn Simulacrum. Get down a swamp, that triggers landfall on the Bloodghast. And then I'm not going to bother pretending that we've got anything else. We'll just ramp out into a Charcoal Diamond. Might get into Exsanguinate or something like that next turn. If we're desperate, we can always get rid of the Silver Smoked Ghoul. The good thing about Bloodchief Ascension and Vito is that you don't really need to push combat damage through. As long as you can comfortably swing in and gain some life, Vito will drain your opponent, and therefore you can get the counters on there. Might lose some creatures in combat, but yeah, should be easy enough to get the 3 counters on Bloodchief Ascension. Now, Prophet of Kruphix is a really tricky one. They still have 3 cards in hand, whilst we are sat here with none. And yeah, we just get into another land. This game might not be as lucky for us as the last one. Let's make 5 mana with the Nykthos, activate our commander, and then we'll just swing in with everything again. Blocking the Bloodghast again with the Yisan, surprisingly blocking the big vampire with Llanowar Elves. We're going to gain life this turn, so when does that come back? At the beginning of the end step, yeah, this is going to come back tapped. The Prophet of Kruphix will give us a card draw on Solemn, allowing our commander through as well. Yisan being activated for a 2 CMC creature. Yeah, and it looks like they're going for some kind of combo. Untapping permanents with Prophet of Kruphix, Kiora's Follower. Might have been the only thing they could go for, but there are combos you can go for with this thing. Okay, so we get the card draw and the drain on our opponent, taking us up to 35, them down to 17. And we hope that this is something good. Nope, just a land, so let's play it. We'll get our Bloodghast and the Ghoul back at the end of the turn, as well as getting the second counter on the Bloodchief Ascension. Activating Yisan on their turn this time. Going in for a 3 CMC creature. That is Reclamation Sage. Goes on to the Bloodchief Ascension. Yeah, this is why Yisan's so good. You can shoot her out a creature every single time. And now, yeah, this is just turned into a Yisan game as opposed to Roon of the Hidden Realms. So now it is target opponent skips their next combat step, which is tricky for us. We do have combos with Vito outside of relying on the combat step, but we've just kind of dumped our hand onto the board this game, and we're about to just draw into another land, I'm sure. Nope, it is Blood Burglar. We skip the combat step, so we might as well just hold back blockers and try and activate our commander on our opponent's turn. Oh, and I thought, I completely forgot about the Jet Medallion, so I tapped down the mana crit for no reason there. Don't think it's going to matter. Yeah, so we'll see what happens in combat next turn. If they even decide to swing into us, I might have to sacrifice the Silver Smoke Ghoul in order to draw a card. Again, going for the Yisan. And this time it is Acidic Slime. Going for our Nykthos. Yeah, we'll allow that. And again, untapping Yisan at the end of the turn. And yet again activating it. Might be that they can just set up a Crater Hoof Behemoth win here. Might also be that this is just a ban Yisan deck. And they just use Roon for the colours as opposed to actually using Roon for any flicker effects. Anyway, they get into Prime Speaker Zagana, who draws them, I think it's equal to power. Yeah, so that's 3 cards into their hand. Alright, going in for Roon now. And they'll be able to consistently flicker Acidic Slime onto our lands, which is likely what they're going to go for. Because they will be able to untap it during our turn with Profit, as well as a couple of times with Kiora's Follower, once on theirs and once on our turn. And then deciding to scoop for some reason. Yeah, never let it be said that Magic Online doesn't have really weird scoops. Let's see what we were drawing into. Okay, go for the throw onto the Prophet of Kruphix might have helped us. Yeah, it's just another land, another Malakir Blood Witch. I was hoping to get into a combo piece there, but yeah, that was a pretty unsatisfying way to win the game, wasn't it? So I think we should attempt a third go and see if we can actually win convincingly this time. Vito Thorn of the Dusk Rose, this time up against Nekusar the Mindrazer. I wonder if Blood Chief Ascension is really going to help us out in this one. We're keeping anyway. And we'll go in for Viscera Seer to start things off. I'd quite like to get a combo win like I mentioned in the last game, so I wonder how long I can hold on to Vampiric Tutor to allow us to go for that. Alright, well, much like the first game, we get into another tutor, so what does that mean? Does that mean we can get down some fast mana? Anyway, we'll go in for the Viscera Seer, and I think I would like to go in for Vampiric Tutor into the Necropotence and just make sure that we keep making lands. So I'm going to hold up the Vamp Tutor here instead of going for the Gifted Aetherborn. Our opponent goes for Anvil of Bugden, so yeah, that'll help us dig further into our library, which is obviously something Nekusar is always going to allow us to do. I think we still go in for the Necropotence though. Yeah, let's go for it and try and outrace our opponent, because we can start doing that next turn. Alright, so it's another land, so we will discard the land that we drew into with the Anvil. And then go for the Necropotence. Swing in at our opponent again. And then hopefully we get into some ramp and some lands to make next turn. And then we can tutor in for a combo piece. So I'm going to go deeper than I normally do with Necropotence, and we'll try and craft ourselves a bit of a hand, so I'll go 9 into that. Alright, and we do get into some more mana, that's good. As well as some life gain. Oh, and we've got an unlimited hand size thanks to the Anvil of Bogard. I was wondering why we didn't have to discard down to hand size there. Yeah, so that's good. We don't even have to craft a hand, we can just keep the one we've got. Does our opponent have a wheel is the question? Yep, they do. That is Wheel of Fortune. I mean, it might be that we get ourselves into a combo piece anyway. We don't actually have one in hand at the moment. Would have been nice to keep the Inquisition of Kozilek and actually get rid of a wheel from their hand though. Anyway, all of that stuff gets exiled thanks to the discard effect, getting to 2 pieces of fast mana, as well as, oh, and then another piece in Dark Ritual. Yeah, okay. So now we go Swamp into Sol Ring and then Mana Crypt. So I think we forced the Wheel of Fortune there. They've gotten rid of a few wheels there. Winds of Change, the Windfall, Wheel of Fortune, Counterspell, Teferi's Puzzle Box. Yeah, they got rid of some good stuff there because they didn't want us to go crazy with the Necropotence. We'll go in for Drana because it's better in combat than our commander. Although, do we have the mana to do both? Yes, we do, don't we? If we go Dark Ritual, we'll just get both out. And then, seeing as how we are able to gain a bunch of life next turn, let's go in for Necropotence again and refill our hand. And we'll try and encourage our opponent to keep wheeling us, just to keep us off of cards. Just go for the full grip of 7 this time. swing in with Viscera Seer, and that can be that. Alright, getting into Malakir Bloodwitch will give us some nice life gain. Exsanguinate with a decent amount of mana is good as well. Might be able to take our opponent out, or yeah, be pretty close to taking our opponent out with just those two. All depends if we actually manage to keep them in hand though. Well, they passed the turn, so I'm going to assume that they got into a worse hand. They have discarded the Spell Crumple, so maybe they just don't have the double blue for the counter spells. Maybe they've got a counter spell with a single blue in its cost. Anyway, let's go for the Snow-Covered Swamp. We're going for Medallion as well. Then it's Knight of Ebon Legion, and we'll go in for the Malakir Bloodwitch as well. And that way we can hold up some mana for sacrificing this thing for card draw if we want to. Highly doubt we'll need to do that though. We're against Nekusar and we've got a Necropotence. Drain our opponent for, what is that, 6, so Vito will deal 6 to them. Malakir Bloodwitch drains our opponent per vampire we control. So now we swing in with everything. We're going to get a counter on the Bloodchief Ascension for sure this turn. No lifelink in play unfortunately, but we can give our stuff lifelink next turn if we decide to activate Vito. So plus counter goes on all of our stuff. And we're up to 19, so I'm comfortable going in for drawing 4 cards here. Okay, Cerebral Vortex. Target opponent draws 2, and it deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards they've drawn this turn. Don't know if we've drawn any cards this turn, have we? And Necropotence doesn't count as draw anyway, so we'll still go for that. Knight of Ebon Legion gets a counter, as does Bloodchief Ascension. And we didn't draw any cards from the Cerebral Vortex there, so I'm obviously missing something here. I don't know why I didn't draw any cards from there. Anyway, we refill our hand, get these counters on here, and we can finally pass the turn over. Apparently, Necropotence is a really good card to keep yourself in cards. Who knew? Oh, and we've taken our opponent down to 4 as well. Wow, I didn't realise that. So we've pretty much got them here as far as I can tell. Okay, that's an Ancient Tomb for them. That's only 6 mana though, so it's not likely that we're going to be seeing the Cyclonic Rift. And we're not getting the Anvil of Bogarden triggers because we're skipping our draw step. So in case you're wondering why we are not being forced to discard anything, let's attempt putting lifelink on all our stuff and then we'll swing in. Play Solemn Simulacrum because we had a floating piece of mana. Might be that our opponent has Mass Bounce, but I'm happy to end the turn with hardly any permanents in hand if that's what's going to happen here. Might be that our opponent is being gracious and just taking the defeat. Okay, well, they take the first strike damage from Drana, and that is lifelink damage, so yeah, they definitely go down there. They were just being a good sport and taking the loss from us. So there we are. That was 3 games in a row. I wasn't cherry picking games and splicing them all together into a video. And yeah, I think we did quite well there. Obviously this isn't a competitive deck. If we're up against lots of board wipes and counter spells and stuff, I doubt we're going to do particularly well. But if we ever get into tutors, we're likely going in for Necropotence to keep us in cards. There's a lot of life gain, so we can likely keep our life total up to put into the Necropotence. And if we get into a tutor after that, it's likely that we want to go into a combo piece with something like, what is it called, Exquisite Blood or Blood Tribute, something like that. We'll drain our opponent out for lethal whilst we've got our commander in play, much like the Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood combo. So hopefully you all enjoyed that Vampire Tribal deck. Be sure to leave it a comment and like if you did. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.